this thing, this lesson tonight, your life depends. In fact, you see this lesson tonight, categorize it as the most important one you have ever heard in your life.
Amen.
We know what we're telling you. In Amos chapter 3, verse 3, he says, how can two walk together except they be what? Agreed. He said, except they be agreed. He didn't say except they agree. He said they be agreed. They be agreed. Why? Because agreement is a very unique part between two or more persons. But you see, the people who come into agreement, the unique thing about an agreement is that the people who come into an agreement are people that are of the same mind. Same word, mind. There's a reason why we say they are always people of the same mind. And with the same mind, they pursue one common objective. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Even for those of you who speak English, follow this very well. You hear a lot of English, but we are giving you spiritual utterance. Agreement is usually between two people of the same mind, aiming towards what? The same word, objective. And this is the reason why the word confession, or this is where the word confession comes into play. Because the word confess or confession is the Greek word homologia. Say homologia.
Homologia.
Now, homologia means to say the same thing in agreement. But before you can say the same thing in agreement with one, you must be of the same word, mind. And you must have the same word, common objective. You see? Are you following this?
Yes, sir.
But now, agreement is not the same as covenant. Because this is where many miss it. Agreement is not the same as covenant. As a matter of fact, what you call agreement will show you in a moment that it was a covenant, but you didn't know. And we said, in agreement, you must, it is something that is struck between two people of what? Two or more people of what? The same mind. Aiming towards what? The same objective. So the question of loyalty, testing one's loyalty with reference to agreement does not come to light at all. You know. Do you understand? There's an agreement. You understand? So loyalty is what? Guaranteed. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is it making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, why do you think loyalty is guaranteed? Because both of you have what?
The same mind.
And you are aiming towards what?
The same objective.
God bless you. But for covenant, it is not so. It is not so at all. Now, how many of you in school, maybe you did business management, they tell you about law of contract? Do you understand? Amen.
Amen.
We know many of you are nurses, but at least for business management or business administration, there's a topic called the law of contract, right? Yes. And in the law of contract, you have what? Offer and acceptance, right?
Yes, sir.
That's all right. Yes. And then you talk about agreement, right? Right? Now, listen. It is a lie. It is a lie. And many have built businesses on that concept. That in business, you have agreement. No. In business, there is no agreement. Even in marriage, there's no agreement. Because you thought that the person who was marrying you for an agreement. Both of you agreed to get married. So you thought it was based on agreement. That's the reason for the divorce. That's the reason for the unhappiness, in a sense, for those who say they want to be happy. That's the reason for the disappointments, for the hurt, for the pain. Because they thought when they were marrying, they married on an agreement that they both had. They missed it. Now, let's even give you another one. Schools, you know, when you sign up to go to school, so they tell you, you sign agreements, right? Right? That you're going to abide by the regulations of the school and all that, right? Now, that's not an agreement. That's not an agreement. Let's ask you, as a student, are you of the same mind with your professor in class?
No.
That's not an agreement. The person you are doing business with, do you know what is in his mind? No. Amen. Now, do you know what is in his mind? No. But he gave you a contract, right? To sign, right? And you call it what? An agreement. It's not an agreement. Because first of all, you don't have what? The same mind. You don't have the same mind. So what we call agreement many a times are not agreement at all. Like we said, this is where the deception is. This is where the deception is. We're trying to tell you how some businesses will always go down because one person came into a pact with another. All in the name of agreement. Meanwhile, it was not. Listen, Satan is not stupid at all. Satan is not stupid at all. Now, sometimes people want to categorize governmental policies as an agreement. It is not. Governmental policies are not agreements at all. Why? Because you can be sure there are people that these policies do not favor. True or false?
True.
Amen. Now, right?
Amen.
Right? And one time we did explain to you when we took a class on the power of the wind, the economic concept called palatal optimality. Can you remember?
Yes.
Where we said governmental policies are based on palatal optimality, which means that if one decision the government is going to take will be to the betterment of a larger population at the detriment of the privileged few, then it is worth undertaking. Palatal optimality. Like, for instance, this Obamacare, this thing now. It is to the betterment of what? A majority at the expense of who? A minority. That's palatal optimality. It is on that grounds they make judgment to initiate policies. Oh, there was a name you called it, right? Popular domain, right?
Yeah. Eminent domain.
Eminent domain. You understand? They call it eminent domain in America, right? But in economics, they call it what? Palatal optimality. Say it, palatal
optimality.
For instance, now, if they want to widen this road because of traffic, they can decide to demolish all the buildings here for the betterment of what? The road users here. Right? So they bring in what? Palatal optimality in economics. Don't worry about the Latin terminology, alright? But now, you can't call that an agreement, right? Because now you discover that it doesn't favor everyone. Right? Is it making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Right? Yes. Now, this brings us to one point. Then, what is covenant? A covenant is not an agreement. Covenant is this. Never forget this. Covenant is one imposing his will or desire or instruction or emotions on another. That's what covenant. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand? Listen. Did you get what we said?
Yeah.
Covenant is what? One person, one party, imposing what? His will, his desire, his emotion, his command, his instruction on who? On another. Without putting into consideration the person's what? Feelings, emotions, circumstance. Without putting into cognizance even the person's opinions. And one unique thing about covenant is that the one who initiates the covenant is the one who gives you the option. Your input is not required at all. And this is where marriage takes place. Marriage between a man and a woman is a covenant. Unknowingly, they think it is an agreement. It is not. The same thing too with ministry. You think ministry is an agreement. Okay, I will agree to do the work of the Lord. No, your opinion is not required. The boss, he said even before you took off from your mother's womb, he knew you by name and called you to be who he has called you to be. He didn't seek your opinion. It is not an agreement. You are not doing him a favor. You are under command. That's a covenant. Is it making sense?
Yes, sir.
It's not about, he doesn't care how you feel. Leave feelings. Who will come to that? Who will come to that? Now, the same thing too with school. Because now, when they were stratifying the regulations in the school, they didn't put you in mind. They didn't put your feelings in mind. They told you, if you must be a student of this school, you must abide with what? This, that. That's not an agreement. So even if they tell you sign an agreement, no, that's not an agreement. That's a covenant. That's not an agreement at all. It's a covenant. Now, there's a reason why we told you this. Many have entered into the spirit unknowingly, but they don't know which domain they are in. We told you there are two kingdoms in the spirit. And you can't be neither here nor there. Some are God's children, quite all right, but they are in a covenant with those who are agents of the kingdom of darkness. Unknowingly. Either through school regulations, either through marriage, either through business. You see? Now that brings us to one point. Let's see something about covenant. We said in covenant, the one who initiates it is the one who gives the terms. You that adheres to it, your opinion is not required at all. But now, this is the difference between covenant and agreement. While agreement is struck by people of the same mind towards the same objective, for covenant, it is of people of different kinds. It is struck by people of different kinds. For instance, God is spirit. Striking a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These are humans. See, two different kinds. You see that? A man, right? And a woman in the area of what? Marriage. These are two different kinds. Demons and humans. These are two different kinds. Demons are spirits. Is it making sense to you?
Yes,
For
sir.
instance, David, who was anointed king, and Jonathan, the priest. These are two different kinds. Is it making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Amen. Are you following this?
Yes.
But many a times we try to mistake it for what? Agreement. Because now you begin to want to show you why some people are backward. Unknown to them, they think it is an agreement. Listen, this thing is more than going to court. Because even after the court has given the verdict, it is more than that. It is more than that. The school, we said it's a covenant. Because now the school is a different body, a legal entity. And you, the student, these are two different sides. So it is not always, a covenant is not between people of the same mind. And as a matter of fact, the objective is not the same. The one who initiates the covenant, it is that one's objective, you that is coming into the covenant must pursue. And your feelings are not required in it. You see, when they talk about covenant today, when you listen to preachers who talk about covenant, they talk about we have a covenant with God in the area of blessing. We have a covenant with God in the area of health. But have they taken time to even know what covenant is? They don't know jack about covenant. Let's tell you what covenant is. Because people strike covenant every day, ignorantly, but they don't know what they are going into. And one thing about covenant is that it is forever. It is forever. But for agreement, it is for as long as that objective is attained. It will last until what? The primary objective is what? Attained. Then everyone will go their own separate ways. But for covenant, it is not so. It is forever. It is forever. And this is where the danger is. Now let's begin to tell you something.